Hi, Faraz. Welcome.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. Good. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad.
Nice to have you here.
Absolutely, absolutely. I don't know if you got notified, but
Yeah.
I'm actually representing the Office of the Honorary Consul of Indonesia and Malawi.
Wow. Wow. That's so nice. Thank
Yes,
you so much. Thank you so much.
yes. No, so I saw the sign and I was very keen because of course, we want to encourage students from Malawi
Yeah.
to get access to education in Indonesia. And
Yeah. Yeah.
since we don't have an embassy in Malawi, we're
Yeah.
the next best thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
That's so nice to have you here.
No, it's my pleasure. It's my
Yeah.
pleasure. I was actually trying to message you on Facebook, but unfortunately, it's not allowing me. You're not on Messenger, I think.
Oh, okay. I think I will text you then. I will think I will link you up.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. All
No,
right.
it's good to exchange details because once the scholarships open and
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
people will have inquiries, I
Yeah.
think
Exactly.
having a straight line of communication to Sophie would be quite
Yeah. Yeah.
advisable.
Yeah. That's very true. And we love that.
Sure, sure.
So you now in Mozambique or Lilongwe?
No, I'm actually in Malawi, in
Oh,
Blantyre itself.
okay.
We've opened an office here for the honorary consul. So,
Oh,
Mr. Kiri, I'm representing Mr. Tariq Kiri. He is
yeah.
the honorary consul of Indonesia and Malawi. So,
Mm.
most facilitations of Indonesian travel, tourism, education happens through the office of the honorary consul here in Blantyre for Malawians.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Okay, I think we can start. Our guest is here. Uh, I welcome you all, everyone, to our today's session. So today we are much focusing on the studying in Indonesia. Because as we all know, there are a lot of scholarships that are here in Indonesia, but we noticed also that people don't have much information. So last session, we also had another Zoom meeting. We shared about KNB scholarships. Yet it's not out, but we just tried to prepare people on uh, what to expect and things to take note of when the scholarship is out. So after we had that Zoom meeting, we also had a lot of questions. People were asking a lot about Indonesia, like what should we expect in Indonesia? So we could not answer one by one. So we thought it was wise to bring someone from Indonesia who have a clear insight on uh, on Indonesia itself as a country, and then the academic life. And then we also invited someone who studied here, who graduated from Indonesia, so that they can have a better, uh, clear experience and also share what they think and what they have about Indonesia. So, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce our guest today. Uh, her name is Dr. Jen Noverin Teja. She's from Indonesia, and currently she is a lecturer in sociology department at the Faculty of Social and Political Sciences at the Universitas Nasional. Maybe in English, it's National University. It's in Jakarta. Dr. Jen holds a PhD from University of Indonesia, where she graduated in 2016. She worked on the social welfare. So for those who maybe are also in social welfare department, this is your better chance to talk. She's also interested in the community empowerment and child welfare initiatives. Uh, Currently, she has been more involved on the child-friendly environments and local government policies in Depok. And also, she just published a book. Maybe you guys might want to check it out. We'll share the information later. It's a book on the implementation of child-friendly city in Indonesia. So that doesn't mean it only applies to Indonesia, it applies to everywhere. So that might be more information about it. So from now, I think we have already shared more information about her on the channel. Most of you may have already know what she is. So at the moment, without wasting much of your time, I would like to invite Dr. Jen to maybe to present to us what she has. So Dr. Jen, you're most welcome.
Okay, thank you, Bastan. Hi,
You're welcome.
everyone. Hello. It's such a
Hello.
pleasure. Hello. Maybe I would say good afternoon because here in Jakarta it's already in the evening, 8 p.m. Yes, it's such a pleasure to be here with all of you today via Zoom meeting. First of all, I would like to thank Sophie Global for having me here to help this sharing session. To Sherry and Bastan, thank you for having me. Actually, it's such a good initiative to have this sharing session for your friends in your countries. I'm really excited to be here to talk about something that could be a life-changing experience for you guys, which is studying in Indonesia. For many of you, this might be the first step toward not just advancing your education, but also stepping into a whole new culture and way of life. I'm not an expert. I'm a lecturer now in Universitas Nasional, as introduced by Bastan earlier. Today, I would like to cover some really important topics that will maybe help you prepare for your journey if you want to study in Indonesia. We'll talk about how the academic system in Indonesia works, how you can impress potential supervisors when applying for master or PhD, recommendation letter, and you can find research opportunities. And I also share some practical tips to help you stay ahead in your studies and make most out of your experience. Maybe we will begin now. I would like to share my PowerPoint presentation. Bastan, maybe you can make me a host because I cannot share my presentation. Okay. Okay, can you see the presentation?
Admin, can you please mute Patrick's microphone, please?
Yeah, someone microphone is on. Okay. Okay, I prepared this presentation today. Maybe it would be nice that we can see it together. And then feel free to ask questions, yeah. Okay. So I prepared this presentation for the African students for master and PhD programs in Indonesia who would like to have your higher education in Indonesia. So the overview is in this presentation, I would like to overview the academic system in Indonesia, how to impress your supervisor when applying for PhD recommendation letter, research opportunities, and then practical tips to stay ahead in your studies. Okay, first, I would like to share about the academic systems in Indonesia. Of course, we have undergraduate study before the master's and PhD programs. Besides this, we also have the vocational studies, yeah, but I didn't write it here. So for the master programs, we call it Magister or S2. The duration is 2 years, equal with 4 semesters. And the requirements is the coursework, which is the sit-in class for 2 semesters, or maybe in some universities it's only 1 semester. As long as it is covered 60 to 72 credits. And you also have to attend seminars and thesis defense. And the key features is heavy focus on developing research capabilities while gaining specialized topics, yeah. And then for PhD programs, the duration may be 3 until 5 years, depending on the research timeline. And then the requirements is a dissertation and publication in international journals. So you have to publish your articles in the international journal. In many cases, yeah, in many universities, it requires your publication in international journal. And the key features is emphasize on independent research with limited coursework, primarily in the first year. Okay. So the language for instruction, English taught programs. Yeah, some universities they have international class, so they have the lectures run in English. But some of them it may be held in Bahasa Indonesia, but the materials, the reading materials, the PowerPoint presentation usually delivered in English. Yeah. And then you maybe in some scholarship programs you must have the Bahasa Indonesia courses first, yeah. For this is special for international students who are encouraged to take the language course to help with cultural integration, especially when working on community-based research. The grading system maximum 4 point scale, yeah. 4 is excellent, and then 2 is sufficient. So you have to use B plus. So the calendar is usually begin in August for odd semester, August to December, and then for even semester is from January to May, or February to June. And some universities also have some short programs or summer course during June to August, July or August. I've done my research, short research for the scholarship for African students. I find it's what's so-called KNB scholarship, Kemitraan Negara Berkembang. So this scholarship is a flagship initiative by the Indonesian government to strengthen partnership with developing countries, including those in Africa. So this is offered by the Ministry of Education, and eligibility is applicant from developing countries. Yeah, from Africa is a key target region. Field of study wide range, yeah, including sciences, engineering, social sciences, and humanities. And the scholarship covers tuition fee, fully covered, living allowance, health insurance, research allowance, and then round trip tickets. The requirements is, of course, for master degree, you have to hold your bachelor's degree first, and for PhD students, you have to have master's degree certificate, depending on. Then you also have to have English proficiency test, either it is TOEFL or IELTS. And also, this is important, yeah, the recommendation letter from government institution or universities. The application process, you can apply through the official KNB website. Maybe Baston can share later. An applicant must first secure a letter of acceptance from participating universities like University of Indonesia or Gadjah Mada University in Indonesia. As long as I know, there are many universities in Indonesia run this program for KNB scholarship and open for foreign. Other than KNB scholarship, we have also LPDP scholarship. This is primarily for Indonesian citizens, but the LPDP International Scholarship occasionally targets outstanding global students. So the focus is for masters and PhD program in high impact fields like renewable energy, public policy, or health sciences. And discover full tuition, monthly allowance, insurance, and research support. Besides, we also have university-specific scholarships. This is specific owned by University of Indonesia or Gadjah Mada University in Jogja or Bandung Institute of Technology in Bandung. Yeah, they have their specific scholarship program. You must read. You can read the information in their website. And other scholarship programs such as Dharma Siswa Scholarship, a non-degree program for studying Bahasa Indonesia, arts and culture. And also it is ideal for students seeking cultural immersion before academic programs. There's also ASEAN Scholarship for students from ASEAN nations and select African regions collaborating with ASEAN. Okay. So that is for the academic system in Indonesia. Now I move to the second topics, which is how to impress your supervisors when applying for PhD recommendation letter. So these are some tips that I can gather for you. Yeah, the first is demonstrate your academic excellence. You must maintain your high academic performance. Your grades and achievement should reflect dedication and capability. Yeah, and then showcase research output like your publication papers, your if you are you were presenter and at international conference, you can tell it to your supervisors. Yeah, and then you must build a strong professional relationship with the supervisor. Maybe you can regular consult for guidance. You communicate often, yeah. I recommend that you choose your supervisor that you know that already know you, know your academic excellence, or know your I don't know, maybe your professional or your academic history. And then you can also exhibit research interest and expertise. You can discuss your research ideas, bring innovative and well thought out proposals. Maybe you can discuss about your proposal for thesis or dissertation if you are a PhD candidate. Yeah, and then of course be proactive and reliable. Meet deadlines, demonstrate that you are dependable, and then exceed expectation, go the extra mile in assigned tasks or projects. Yeah, maybe if the supervisor is your lecturer in your college before, and then seek constructive feedback, act on suggestion to improve your work, personalize the request for a letter, ask politely and early, provide ample time to write a detailed letter, provide supporting documents. Yeah, please make your CV. You can search in Google, or you can ask for your friend or colleague how to write a good CV. And then you also have to share your transcript and a draft of your personal statement or research plan. Highlight your achievement. Yeah, this is important. Remind them that your key contribution and milestones under the supervisions. And if your supervisor is Indonesian, This is the number 6 is also important. Yeah, the cultural considerations show humility. Indonesian value politeness and respect. Be formal in requests. Use appropriate salutations like greetings, and then avoid casual language. Be formal. Yeah, maybe this is some tips that I can share. You must know already the person or the supervisor, yeah, so you can customize this how you deal with him or her. So this is I would like to share some key phrases to use when requesting a letter. Maybe you can use this sentence, yeah, like, I'm deeply grateful for your guidance during my research, and I was wondering if you would be willing to write me a recommendation letter for my PhD applications. Something like this. Okay, next. I would like to share about the research opportunities in Indonesia. In Indonesia, actually, there are so many opportunities for research in Indonesia with the field of strength like environmental studies, technology, social sciences, health sciences, etc. And you can also have the collaboration with international institutions and world-class research facilities with the funding opportunities from various body like PDP research grants, and also Indonesia, our Ministry of Education have a lot of funding program for research. So actually there are so many research opportunities in Indonesia. So don't worry if you like to pursue your higher education in Indonesia. There are so many research opportunities for you. And then next, this is some practical tips that I can share for you to stay ahead in studies if you're going to studying in Indonesia, like time management. Maybe you already use Google Calendar or Notion. And then this is important, yeah, to learn Bahasa Indonesia. So this is very helpful if you live here, if you live in a country and you master the local language. It's helpful for your daily life. Also build relationship. I recommend that you join the organizations and attend seminars, and also use technology for your research, for your also publication in journal. And cultural immersion, participate in traditions, health and well-being, balance studies with relaxation. This is tip for everybody, for everything, for every occasion. So, what is Indonesia for higher education? Maybe you can ask Aston or Cherry, who already someone's someone microphone is on. Okay. Indonesia is affordable considering for the tuition fee and living costs. We have living costs lower compared to Western countries, making Indonesia a budget-friendly option for African students, for you guys. And we have also cultural diversity, a rich cultural and religious heritage enhance the experience for international students. We have also global recognition that our degrees are accredited by international bodies and well received also. Our top universities here are ranked globally. And opportunities for networking, because Indonesia is located in Southeast Asia, offers access to Asian networks and collaboration with global institutions. Okay, so this is my conclusion. Indonesia offers world-class education affordably, and then the scholarships like KNB make it accessible for you guys to studying here. And you build network, you build relationship, plan strategically, and immerse in culture for success. I think this is my presentation. We can proceed with question and answer answer session. You can ask me anything, and I try my best to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bijen. So guys, at this juncture, I think we may take some of the questions that you may have. So you can utilize this time and ask the questions that you have. Thank you. If you have a question, you can just raise your hand or react on the. Anyone
Everybody.
with a question?
Abuzike has a question.
I think Firi has a question. He's raising his hand.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
First. Currently, I'm pursuing my bachelor's degree at Nzuzu University in Malawi. Currently in
I think your
my
network
fourth
is
year of
down.
study.
Maybe you can type the question.
I'm doing international relations and diplomacy. We are finishing our degree in August. This is the first semester of fourth year. So I wanted to ask, what if I want to start the applications? Should I still wait until I obtain my degree, or is it possible that some other scholarships will allow me to send my transcript first and then, all right, let me type it.
So someone is asking, when is the application window? How long does it take for the schools to respond after an application has been submitted? So maybe I can help to answer this one because I have an experience.
Unmute yourself, Baston. We can't hear you.
Sorry. Okay, so usually the scholarships, the window is around 1 month to 2 months. That's most of it, because if they open in December, they close around January or early February. So you need that window to take note of everything, acquire all the documents, and then upload. And yes, you just wait for your results. Actually, they don't take long to respond, because I think Indonesia, the good thing about Indonesia, the scholarships, they don't take as long, like 8 months. You don't know about your results or where you stand. So usually if you submit today, in 2 months, you might know whether you get the scholarship or not, or within a month, you can know where you stand. So they will contact you. So that's the good thing. So usually it takes maybe a month to get your response, or 2 months. Are the TOEFL really necessary for English-speaking graduates? Okay. Sherry, maybe you can answer that. Or Sherry, if you can, maybe you can answer that one.
Sorry, the question is what are the conditions, if any, can waiver English test requirements? If any, I don't understand it. Are the TOEFL really necessary for English? No, they are not. You can attach your your transcripts from your previous studies. Maybe it is in your secondary school studies or your primary school studies, but you will need to have a letter from your school just stating that you usually undertake the curricula in English. That's all you need. So you attach the letter. In many of the instances, you actually don't even need that letter. So you just need to attach, if your secondary school had an English subject, you attach it and write a letter clarifying that you did a test in your secondary school, which is English. And then, but if you have a letter from the university confirming that the curriculum is tested in English and you use English, then you don't need the TOEFL and IELTS. You can also get the letter from your Ministry of Education as well.
Can she explain more on the KNB scholarship process? So I think maybe since you guys just joined, last week, actually, we had the whole session about KNB scholarship, but we have another speaker who focused much more on maybe he will tackle on that, maybe in the later presentation. So for this one, maybe we can ask much about Indonesian culture and stuff. But about this KNB, maybe Alfred, we have another speaker, Alfred. Maybe he will be in a better position to explain much about scholarship because he graduated from the scholarship. So but he will explain that. Another question, maybe. Oh, okay. So someone said, I want details of Mr. Faraz. So actually, maybe for those who are coming from Malawi, we have someone from the consulate from the Embassy of Indonesia to Malawi. So who is here too on the Zoom. So maybe he wants to say something before we proceed.
Thank you, Baston. No, definitely, because I understand one of the requirements of the KNB scholarship is documentation from the embassy itself. Correct me if I'm wrong. So since we have the consulate available in Blantyre, it makes it convenient for us to help facilitate that request for individuals based in Malawi. Since we have a direct link with the embassy in Mozambique, sometimes, there are technical difficulties. Sometimes there may be delays in responses. So having somebody within the region, I think, will help not only us, because, helping facilitate our students get education in Indonesia is one of our key standpoints as well. It's one of our key factors that we want to induce even more in the youth, in the young people of Malawi seeking further education, because we know after tertiary education in Malawi, there's not many options to pursue higher education. So with the office of the consulate being present in Malawi, I feel we can help facilitate queries, respond to any sort of inquiries that students may possibly have, as well as help with certain documentation or visa requirements if necessary. But yeah, that's generally, what we want to help facilitate here in Blantyre.
Thank you so much for the input and for having us here today, for being with us here today. Okay.
You've been muted
You're
again.
muted again, bastard.
Okay, sorry. So we have another speaker, Alfred. I think we no longer have questions for Dr. Jen. Akuzika, I think we will address your question in the later. So in the meantime, maybe we can have Alfred. He will share what he has. But unfortunately, our Zoom link was scheduled for like 45 minutes. So we'll schedule another link, and then we'll share on the chat box. So maybe you can join there. Alfred, but you can go ahead.
So good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I think it's in the middle of the night, or almost night in Indonesia. So for me, what I was asked to share with you guys, it's not necessarily on how to get the scholarship, but we're assuming you have already gotten it. So I'll be sharing on how you can thrive as a researcher, and then how you can stay on top of your game as a student, because while it is easy to get a scholarship, it is hard to keep it because you're supposed to maintain on your academics. And as Baston has said, I think the meeting is only remaining with 3 minutes, and then when they create another link, I'll be able to proceed from there. But for now, I'll just start from here. So just a short introduction as they asked me to introduce myself. My name is Alfred Kampira Levison. I graduated from the University of Indonesia last year on the 23rd of July. Among a few things that I've sort of been proud of as a student in Indonesia is that I'm the first African to graduate from the program of Master of Mechanical Engineering from the University of Indonesia. I was also glad to be among the recipient of the Sustainable Energy and Green Technology Applications. This is a university accolade or award that is awarded by University of Airlangga. I'm actually currently working with the Malawi University of Science and Technology as a part-time lecturer. And at the same time, I also help as a research assistant at the Pendingen Laboratory at the University of Indonesia. Okay, so from the introduction, I'll go straight to share with you the 4 tips that you can utilize as a student, or how you can thrive as a research student. So this is the first tip. So the first tip is you need to build a solid foundation, and you may ask how. So the first thing that you need to do, you need to master the basics and expand your knowledge. As a student, you have a particular interest in a particular field of study. You need to understand that particular field of study or that particular field of research, because I understand most of us are applying for master's and PhD programs. A few maybe may be applying for undergraduate, maybe that may not apply to them as much, but for masters and PhD students, you need to understand your field of study, and through that, you build a solid foundation, and then you proceed quite well. And the second among the build your solid foundation strategy is to stay curious and committed to lifelong learning. Most of us students like this aspect of being curious on what we are studying, or be interested to know more about the field that we are actually studying. But it's a very important aspect to be very curious about that particular field of study that you are taking. And thirdly, you need to develop expertise in your field while you're also understanding interdisciplinary connections. You need to find out which other fields are related to my field, and how best can I make these connections work with other fields that are relating to the field of study that I'm doing. And then the last tip in this build a solid foundation is to regularly review foundational and emerging research papers. You need to time and again check your field of study, and then you find out other papers that are written, and then you see how much your field is expanding, how much people are upgrading in that field of study, so that you don't remain behind. You also continue to upgrade as a student, and you also continue to excel in your studies.